So, I've come tonight to share Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti is these are two Sanskrit words, Bhakti and Yoga. Bhakti means devotion, and Yoga means linking or yoking. So, there are many types of yoga systems, but it is described in this very well-known and very powerful teaching, Bhagavad Gita, that this Bhakti system is the topmost yoga. One may be too old, an invalid, to do asanas, but their feelings are still there. Their body may not be able to do asanas, but their feelings are still there. We have loving feelings throughout the life. Loving feelings are always there. If one is a sensitive person, then loving feelings are always there. So Bhakti is the science of how to channel that love to the Supreme. So it is a very powerful type of yoga system. And the beauty of the Bhakti system, as exemplified by Sri Arjuna, the original recipient of this science of Bhakti. The beauty of this system is you can do it 24 hours a day. Very few people can do yoga 24 hours a day with the Hatha yoga system. There are yogis in the Himalayas. That's all they do. They've given up their computers, their mobile phones, their families, their careers, and they just live in the Himalayas and do their yoga. But even in that system, it takes many lifetimes to perfect it. It's described in the Brahma Samhita. But this Bhakti Yoga system is so powerful. It is so potent that by simply learning how to channel one's love to the Supreme, then you can achieve the perfection of yoga, the topmost perfection of all yoga systems. It's very nicely compared to watering the root of the tree. If you try to water the tree by watering the leaves and watering the branches, that tree will still be suffering. Because the method of watering a tree is through the root, isn't it? Same thing with your body. We need nourishment. Every part of the body requires nourishment. I may cut my finger, so there's some nourishment required to heal the skin on the finger. So, how do I get the nourishment from my cut finger? Do I stick it in a bowl of soup and soak it? No. I don't get the nourishment in that way. But if I take that soup, I put it in the mouth, it goes to the belly, then the belly distributes to every part of the body the nourishment. So, if one can give one's love to the Supreme, that person who is the source of all existence, who has unlimited names. Some call him Allah, some call him Krishna, some call him Buddha, you see. That one Supreme who has unlimited names, who has unlimited qualities, unlimited characteristics. If we can give our love to that Supreme person, who actually is the origin of love, love itself originates in that Supreme person. So actually it makes sense to give your love to the Supreme. Just like nowadays, what are we doing to try to clean up the environment? We are recycling. So this is taking recycling to the highest perfectional stage. Because all love actually originally emanates from that Supreme. So your love becomes perfect, free from all selfishness, free from all pollutions, when your love is reconnected with that Supreme. And when you love that Supreme, then automatically you love yourself. We all want to love ourselves. We don't want to leave ourselves out of the equation. We don't want to be cruel to ourselves, right? We don't want to be selfish, but at the same time we don't want to abuse ourselves, you see. So when you give your love to the Supreme, you're loving yourself. In other words, you're doing what is the best self-interest for yourself, and you're doing what is the best for every single living entity throughout the entire existence. And what is the result? You feel really good. I mean, you feel really, really good. Because the fact is, the more that we can more that we can give to others, the more we become happy. Just like the classic example, Ebenezer Scrooge, in that novel by Charles Dickens. You see, miser. Miser means miserable. The more you become miserly, selfish, greedy, you see, you're miserable. And the more you become a giving person, one who cares about others, who gives to others, who serves others, the more you become happy. So if that loving, giving, serving mood can be perfected, and that perfection is called Bhakti Yoga. If that loving, serving, giving mood can be perfected, then you achieve a state of pure bliss. It's called Ananda in Sanskrit. Ananda. So in this bhakti system, one perfects the tendency to love to where it includes every single living entity, even the little grasshoppers and the armadillos and the microbial germs floating in the air. It's the perfection of love. And the result is complete total happiness. Because now you're not living only for yourself, you're living for the welfare of all living entities. And that feels really, really good. You become delivered from what is known as karma chakra, the cycle of birth and death. Some people say, well, is that reincarnation? I don't believe in reincarnation. But actually, you're reincarnating right now. How you can say you don't believe in reincarnation? You have the same body now you had when you were a little kid? Where's that little baby's body that was in the crib? Where are the chemicals and molecules that constituted that little baby's body? They're gone. But yet you, the conscious entity, who can remember some of your childhood pastimes. I know I remember some of mine. Everybody can remember some childhood pastimes. When I was a little kid, I did this or that. The self is the same, but the body has changed. That is reincarnation. So we're reincarnating even in this very body, in that momentum of changing body. It just keeps going, even according to the laws of motion from Newton. And that which is in motion tends to stay in motion. So we've been moving from body to body to body. At every second, the chemicals that constitute the body are changing. So we've been reincarnating. From the moment we're born, we're going through a reincarnation process through the whole life. So according to Newton's law, then that will continue. And that's confirmed in the Vedic wisdom also. That reincarnation, that moving from body to body to body just keeps on going. Sometimes we're a human being, sometimes we're an animal, sometimes we're a plant, sometimes we're a being in the celestial regions. This is called a demigod. But whatever position we may have in the material world, we are always subject to death. Even in the topmost planets, the demigods, they also have to die. Even the heavenly planets of this material world, they also die. But if one through bhakti, you see, you qualify to enter into an entirely different dimension where death doesn't even exist. You achieve true immortality in a form which never gets sick, never gets old, and never dies. So bhakti is very powerful. It delivers one to the topmost destination. And I was very enlivened to hear you all doing some mantra chanting when I came to it. Wow, that was great. Thank you for blessing me. Thank you for blessing everyone. It's a great blessing to hear these sacred mantras being chanted. Even George Harrison said he didn't really think all those songs about "I want to hold your hand" were that important. But he said these Sanskrit mantras, that is the real... He said, I can't write songs as good as these Sanskrit mantras. George was saying them. So they're actually very powerful. These are ancient mantras. This mantra you were chanting, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is not invented by anyone in this world. It was actually brought into this world by a great liberated soul called Sri Narad Muni, who has the power to travel between the material and spiritual worlds. He doesn't need to catch a flight on American Airlines. Just by his desire, he can manifest in any place. In fact, if he wanted to, he could appear right now. I'd love for him to come right now and bless us. It's up to him. We can't force him, you know. But if we have we really get into the kirtan, really go deep into the mantra meditation, he might appear to bless us. Oh, you're chanting so nicely. He has the power to do that. So we hope that one day we can chant with so much feeling and so much devotion that Narada Muni, who's the original importer of this mantra of the world, will come and say, oh yes, very good. We hope someday that will happen.
What do you say that?
Golokera prema dana hari nama sankirtana.
We're saying it, Narad Muni may be coming, but we don't have eyes to see.
Ah, he may have been here,
Yeah.
but we didn't know. But we can hope that someday we could have the eyes to see him. That's another matter. Yeah, it's stated very nicely there's a great saint. His name was Narottam Das Thakur. He also read very wonderful songs in the Bengali language. He sings Golokera Prema Dhana Hari Nama Sankirtana. This Hare Krishna mantra, it is an import from the spiritual world. So, it is descended from the spiritual world here to this material world. And it has the power to enable us to ascend. It descended, and it has the power to enable us to ascend into the spiritual world. That's the beauty of it. The word, Sanskrit word, is mantra. Man means mind, and Shra means deliver. So mantra means that which has the power to deliver the mind. And of course, when the mind is delivered, you see, the mind is either our greatest asset or our greatest stumbling block. If one learns how to control the mind through the Bhakti Yoga system, then your mind becomes your best friend you've ever had. Your best friend. And if your mind is wild, completely uncontrolled, like the normal, Texan, then your mind is a problem. You may have to go to a psychologist, or you may just get drunk or something because your mind is so disturbed. You get off work, But for one whose mind is under control, that mind becomes a wonderful tool, a wonderful instrument. So the mantra has the power to turn your mind from your worst enemy into your best friend. The more you chant it, the more you become enchanted by it, and the more you become enchanted by it, the more you become liberated from this material existence. How does that work? What is the science? Now, if I say your name, just like I know your name is Abhay, I may say the name Abhay, you're off in your house over there in northwest Austin, you see. I'm in north central Austin right now. I may say Abhay, but you were still in your house, you have not come from northwest to north central Austin, you see, just by the uttering of your name. Because you and your name are not the same. But when we speak about the absolute person, who's the source of all existence, whose expanded energy is indeed us and everything that we experience, and beyond what we experience as well, his name and he are absolute. There's no difference, absolutely no difference between him and his name. So when we utter the name Krishna, which is one of the many names of that Supreme Person, and that is, in the Vedas, it's recommended to make the most powerful name for that Supreme Person in this age. Not the only, but the most powerful name of the Supreme in this age is these two syllables, Krishna. So when we utter this Krishna, we are coming in direct contact with that Supreme Person who is emanating everything from himself at every minute. Everything exists. This planet exists, this universe exists, we exist, everything exists by dint of the fact that he's emanating everything from himself right now, and we come in direct contact with that person who is the source of all the energy. Some people say, I can't make it through the day without a few cups of coffee. But if you really tune into Krishna, you've got more energy and more power than all the caffeine in the world could ever give you. What's a little caffeine bean compared to that person who stands behind the sun, the powerful sun, full of unlimited effulgence? It's just a little tiny speck of the potency of that Supreme Person, Krishna. So this mantra then, in Sanskrit, of course we're very proud of our, especially here in America, Wilbur and Orville, right, yeah. They invented the airplane. But actually they did not invent the airplane. The airplane had been forgotten in the Western world. They'd forgotten about airplanes. There were airplanes long, long ago. The yogis could actually create an airplane that was a whole palace with the whole parks and gardens, a flying palace that could go travel all over the universe without any fossil fuel, just by yogic power of the mind. But this airplane, in Sanskrit, airplane is called Vimana. The ancient Sanskrit language has a word for airplane, Vimana. So this mantra, Hare Krishna mantra, is Vimana. It's an airplane. And it's more powerful than the airplane I described that has parks and gardens and can go all over the universe without fossil fuel. This mantra is even more powerful. This mantra has the power to take you through the coverings of this material existence into that transcendental realm called the Vaikuntha world. Kunta means anxiety, and Vai means without. So, this mantra, especially Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, has the power, the potency to take you, actually carry you out of this material existence into the transcendental realm. You may say, well, how will I, maintain my family if I'm doing all this spiritual travel, The beauty of it is, you can actually enter into that spiritual consciousness, that Vaikuntha realm consciousness. At the same time, you can go to work on Monday morning, you can support your family, you can be a student, a teacher, have a marriage relationship, continue whatever your career is, you can maintain all those things. But you do it in a whole new enlightened state of consciousness, where you don't just see the material energy anymore sitting out there, the mundane energy, called the material energy. Now you actually see the energy of God manifest everywhere. I remember my godbrothers, they had the good fortune of joining our movement called Hare Krishna movement back in the early days when our guru, Srila Prabhupada, first came to America. I'm always envious of those boys. My spiritual master came all alone with only 40 rupees, which now is about 90 cents. Is the last I heard, about 90 cents. In the mid-60s, it was $10. Shows you what inflation's doing. But he came with practically no money, and he's in the order of his spiritual master to spread this Krishna Bhakti, this Bhakti Yoga science here in the Western world. So anyway, they became very attracted by this kirtan, this chanting, and they explained how they would go in the early morning to his apartment. They got him a little apartment in the Lower East Side of Manhattan, and they would come out of the apartment and they would see the city of New York all around, this gigantic roaring metropolis, But it took on a whole new quality. It wasn't the same New York they used to see. It was a whole new, they had entered another dimension of consciousness. It didn't look the same. There's some new vibration or aura that became manifest in their vision of New York City is coming out of those kirtans with Prabhupada, our spiritual master. So the fact is that the more you enter into this mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. The more your vision, the more your consciousness will become elevated. It will become transported to a higher dimension of consciousness. You will actually have feelings of love for all creatures will awaken within your heart that you didn't have before. Knowledge of who you are and who everyone is and what does actually mean to be natural. You see, all of these things will be, it'll just be like, sometimes it can be like a big 4th of July fireworks going off inside your consciousness. So new lights of transcendental vision, just like exploding within your heart sometimes. It can become so wonderful when you go deep into the chanting. So, I thought we could do a little more chanting. I missed the first kirtan, so we can do a little more chanting, would be nice. Just want to set my recorder so it picks it up properly. There's one button I have to adjust. Oh, it just went off. Okay. This instrument is called harmonium, if you're not familiar with it. One great saint in India named Bhakti Thakur, he said the harmonium gives the idea of the harmony of the spiritual world. So it's very conducive. to chant along with the harmonium. It's very popular in India. It really creates it helps you to feel the harmony of the spiritual atmosphere. Some disharmony there. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Let's make a little bit lower key, it'll be good. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, So now I can ask if there's any questions. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
Thank you. Earlier when you were talking about the spiritual world and the material world, is that somewhere else, or is it that we're covered? That like we're in the spiritual world but we're covered, or do you actually go somewhere to the spiritual
There is actually
world?
another place, but it's also accessible within your heart as well. That place is actually beyond time and space. So it's not like, I mean, it is another dimension. It's another dimension. It's beyond. It's a whole other dimension. Which, see, we're completely locked into a time and space conception of reality. The spiritual world is beyond this time and space. There's a whole other dimension. So there's a place you can actually go, but it doesn't require that you have to get on, travel and get on a rocket ship and go somewhere. You can go just by developing that love for God or Krishna. You can enter into that spiritual world, even here within this material world. Of course, for most of us, we just hope to enter that spiritual world at the time of death by remembering Krishna. But one can actually become a liberated soul, even within this body. Even while situated in this body, one can enter in the spiritual world. There are great, rare, very great, elevated persons like Bhava Mangala Thakur is described. Who can actually enter the spiritual world even while he's physically situated here. So maybe that helps a little bit to answer your question. Yes.
You mentioned ascension earlier, and back in the 90s we used to study ascension. Can you explain what it is through this Hare Krishna consciousness, ascension?
Ascension. What's that word?
Ascension?
Ascension, to ascend.
Ascension.
Yeah, you said we could ascend by
Yes.
chanting.
When one becomes pure in love of God, he actually ascends into the spiritual sky. Even Krishna himself ascended after his pastimes here. He ascended back to his abode. So the living entity actually ascends. It's a conception of going upwards to a higher level of higher dimensional reality. Where, see, there's two basic worlds. There's the material world and the spiritual world. This material world is the world of darkness. The spiritual world is the world of light. Here, people suffer temporality, ignorance, and misery. In the spiritual dimension, the devotees there experience eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So it is, you can call it ascending back, because it's elevating oneself to a higher, you may not be necessarily physically picking you up, because the up and down can be relative terms, but it's a matter of going to a higher dimension of consciousness. So that is the ascending. Ascending means to go up. When it's elevated to a higher thing, you can ascend even now. Every time you do a kirtan, you ascend a little bit more. You see. Even now we're ascending a little bit. We're uplifting our consciousnesses by diving deep into mantra. You see, Hare Krishna mantra. So as one advances in spiritual consciousness, he or she is gradually ascending to higher and higher levels of existence, even while they're physically still walking around Austin, Texas. Is it?
So it's not a matter of some spaceship coming and beaming us
Oh, there is such a
up.
thing. There are, sometimes that happens also. There was one very highly elevated yogi, and he was also a devotee. He was into pranayama, he was also into bhakti. He did both. He combined pranayama with bhakti. So he was sitting, there's a sacred river in India, if you go, the Godavari River in South India. So this yogi, he was sitting on the Godavari, and he was actually more interested in bhakti than he was in his pranayama. But he was sitting there, and he wanted to do bhakti. He wanted to do devotional service for the Supreme Person, Krishna, or Narayan. But he had no means. He had no money. he wanted to cook opulent feasts and offer them to the Supreme Person. So, since he didn't have any facility, he heard in one lecture that you could, even if you just did something by meditation, it would also be accepted. So what he did was he would sit there and he'd meditate and make these elaborate offerings. Huge feasts with all the ingredients. He would cut the vegetables, peel them, cut them, just in every little detail. He meditated on making these huge, elaborate feasts for the Lord. And one very popular dish is called kheer, or in English we say sweet rice. And one very nice way to, some people like it hot, served hot, but actually when it's cool is the best. Especially when it's very cool, it's very nice. So he wanted to offer it cool to the Lord, and he was meditating on that sweet rice. Now, in his meditation, let me check the sweet rice. He stuck it, it's too hot. And his meditation was so real that he actually burned his finger. He woke up and his finger had been burned, you see. So Lord Narayan in the spiritual world is an expanded form of Krishna. He could see, just see this devotee, how intensely he was absorbed in bhakti. So he sent an airplane down. They're called Vaikuntha airplanes. He sent an airplane, came landing right there, and he got in the airplane and shoo. So that could happen to us. If we really get into the kirtan someday, some airplane may show up. Celestial airplane may show up. And just hop on, you don't need no seat belts, you don't have to worry about anything like that. You won't be crammed tight like nowadays, all cramped up with your knees against the seat. Very nice, heavenly, wonderful, celestial airplane will come. That can happen. But someone may think, what about my wonderful place here in Austin? Well, you don't have to go. The first astronauts, cosmonauts that were circling the Earth, even before the Americans got somebody, the Russians had somebody. The Americans got really scared at that point. That the Russians were going to get to the moon first and colonize it and make it a place for missile base or something. But anyway, the cosmonauts were looking down. They were up there circling, and they were looking, where Prabhupada said, they were circling, where is my Moscow? They're looking, where is my Moscow? So it's not that one has to go back to the spiritual world. If one would rather stay here, one can stay. In this land of birth and death, one can stay. There's no force. But if one wants to go to an abode where there's no birth, death, old age, and disease, and there's just pure love everywhere, you don't have to worry about going to work, you don't have to worry about paying taxes, you don't have to worry about old age or sickness, you don't have to worry about dirty water or dirty air or criminals or terrorists blowing you up. Just there's a place you can go, the spiritual world. And this Hare Krishna mantra will take you there. If you get seriously into doing it on a regular basis, it will help purify your consciousness and qualify you into that dimension. Or you can chant any name of God. We don't say only this mantra. You can chant Christ, you can chant Buddha, Allah, you can chant any name of God. But the Vedas which say all the names are good, especially recommend this name in this age, because this is the most powerful and effective mantra for this age, according to the Kali Santarana Upanishad. This is the most powerful and effective name in this age. So you can experiment, you can try chanting you can do Allah or Christ or Buddha. Try the different ones, see what works best for you. I've tried them all, and I guarantee this Hare Krishna is the winner. It's the winning mantra. In the mantra competition, this is the winning mantra. Yeah.
How does our stress change as we advance in Krishna consciousness?
Our stress? It vanishes away into non-existence. The more you become Krishna conscious, your stress just evaporates into nothing. It becomes completely, it disappears. You become stressless. That's the advantage of becoming enlightened in spiritual consciousness. Because once you understand, in other words, your happiness is now based on your loving relationship with God or Krishna. It doesn't depend on anything material at all. See, the material world, we base our happiness on this, having this facility and that facility, and you can't always be sure those facilities will be there. So there's that stress of trying to get that thing and then trying to keep that thing. But when one becomes enlightened in Krishna consciousness, your happiness isn't based on a nice house or a job or money or a car or a girlfriend or boyfriend or a spouse. It's not based on any of these things, which can come and go, you see. It's based on having a loving relationship with that Supreme Person, the source of all existence. And that relationship can't be taken away by anything. If one becomes addicted to God, you see, nothing can ever take you away from God. You will capture God within your heart by your intense love for Him. And that love in itself will totally satisfy you. And that love in itself will completely, totally satisfy you with nothing else required. Of course, we don't neglect the bodily health. That is also taken care of. We take good care of our bodily health so that the body can be a suitable instrument for serving Krishna or God. Any other questions?
But isn't it one gets diseased because of the stress also?
Yes, actually, the stress is a cause of disease. So if you become enlightened in spiritual consciousness, then your stress level goes down and your health, you become more healthy naturally.
It's like, for example,
Yeah.
that house burned down by lightning. One can be very stressed and get very
What's that? House burned down?
house burned down with the lightning.
Yeah.
So one can be fully distressed and stressed. So that can cause so many...
Yeah, our house there was a lightning storm a week ago here in Austin, and our house was one of the three that got zapped. And it completely cooked it. The whole attic burned. We have no place to live until January. But yet, you know, our business is to chant Hare Krishna and be happy, and we can do that under a tree even. So, you know, I mean, there was a little... I have to admit, it was a little heavy in the middle of the night in the hotel in London. He woken up in the middle of the night and hear that the house had burned. But immediately I had this vision. Because we have a big movement of people who chant Hare Krishna. It's called the Hare Krishna people. The Hare Krishnas, the Krishnas sometimes they say for sure. But I had this vision of like about a thousand. I was laying there in the bed going, oh my, wow, this is heavy. The house burned, and oh my, all this. But I had this vision. I tried to get a little sleep. I said, give me a full report in 3 hours. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had to fly out the next morning. So I tried to sleep after that. But I really couldn't. It took me a long, if I did go to sleep, it took me a long time. But I had this vision of 1,000 devotees of Krishna just surrounding me. They weren't saying a word. They were just like packed around me. And just, we care. We love you, don't worry, we're with you, like that. It was just, the vision came once and it came twice. It was so beautiful, all these devotees just standing around me, packed around me. Don't worry, everything's going to be okay, you know. So that's actually a fact. When you become Krishna conscious, you have a big support group of all the other devotees of Krishna. And we have a big movement. I just came from a festival in Lithuania. It was 1,000 devotees for like a whole week. A whole week. It was so amazing. We had so many wonderful kirtans, we had so many wonderful seminars, wonderful prasadam, wonderful association. For a whole week, everybody was getting up at 4:30 in the morning. We had all these deities set up from different temples. All the deities came, Gaurnitai, Radha Krishna, Radha Damodar were there from Austin. It was a wonderful atmosphere. So, you're not on your own when you practice Krishna consciousness. We have a whole movement. You plug into a whole society of people who are doing this thing together. It's a family. You plug into a whole international spiritual family all over the world. I travel all over the world. I go to about 20 different countries twice a year. And there's so many wonderful communities of people all over the world are doing this, and we're all like one family all over the world. Wherever I go, I went to China, even to Beijing. Can you imagine? In Beijing, there was like about 150 devotees got together, and we had a wonderful program in Beijing. Can you imagine in China, in Beijing, China, a big family of Hare Krishna chanters. It was wonderful. We had wonderful kirtans. So it's just you plug into a whole network of people. You're not alone. You plug into a whole network of people. And we're all doing this together as in a loving mood, sharing loving exchanges with each other, and helping each other to awaken our Krishna consciousness.
Is that you would say that only the group of devotees coming, could it be Vaikuntha-vasis also?
Who?
Vaikuntha-vasi.
Oh, I don't know. Wow, that would have been something.
Yeah, so it's not that we plug into it. When you have become Krishna conscious, then even the Vaikuntha-vasis means the residents of Vaikuntha.
Yeah, it could have
they
been.
can
Could have
come.
been. Who knows? I don't know. But all I know is I felt really comforted. I can be okay. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's not that big of a deal. That your house burned become unlivable now. Cooked house. Yes.
What would you say is it, like, what attracts Krishna consciousness to certain people, to some people, and then others are just like, not really?
Why are some people interested in awakening their enlightened consciousness, and some are not? There's different modes of nature, that's why. Some people in the mode of ignorance, all they know is work, and get drunk and work. They work hard to make some money, and they just get drunk, or they get stoned, and just wipe out, and then they go back to work, and that's all they know. It's like completely in the mode of ignorance. Some people are very passionate. They want to get ahead materially. They're very eager to advance materially and become very high-level materialists. That's the mode of passion. But there are another group of people. It's just called the mode of goodness. You see, they're looking for higher consciousness. They're looking for a new, higher levels of culture on this planet, where everybody can live in peace and harmony and not cutthroat type of existence. So, they're into higher. So it's a matter of how much people's consciousness has evolved. Because it's something that goes on life after life, you see. You carry a certain consciousness that's inherited, you're picking up from your last lifetime, wherever you left off. You see. So one may have been in tamaguna, the mode of ignorance in one life, and in passion the next life, and the mode of goodness. So different people are at different levels of evolution of consciousness, that's all. And those who have truly achieved the human state of consciousness, they're interested in spiritual awakening. That is human life. You see. Human life begins when one is interested in spiritual awakening. And one inquires, why am I suffering here? It doesn't seem right. I want to always be happy. Why is suffering being forced on me? It just doesn't seem right. There has to be a state of consciousness beyond this suffering. You see, that is the beginning of human life. Now, not everyone is ready for that. This means one becomes philosophical. How many people are actually philosophical in the world? It's a very small percentage who actually have, look for higher consciousness. But it's simply due to it's different people who evolve. And everyone will eventually come to that stage, if not in this lifetime, in a future lifetime. Prabhupada explains that it's due to their previous life's activities. If one is interested now in this awakening, it means that they had some cultivation in a previous life of it also. So that may answer some extent with your question. Does it answer pretty well? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Is there a hierarchy of gods and Krishna is the top god? I don't know who really Krishna
Yes.
is. Okay.
God means controller. In Sanskrit, the word is Ishvar. God actually means controller. So there are many. You're the controller of your own body. You're also God of your body. And then we have a god here, the mayor of Austin. He's like a god of the governor. Governor Perry is like, he's in one sense he's the god of Texas. We have Obama as the god of the United States of America. There's actually a goddess named Bhumi, who's the predominating deity of the Earth planet. So you have different levels of deities or controllers who have they're allotted different degrees of authority and power by the laws of nature. But then you have one supreme authority. The controller or god in Sanskrit is called Deva. But then there is one called Deva, the god of all the gods, that is Krishna.
Thank you.
Now there's a god of the sun, you see. There's Vivaswan. There's a god of the rain, Indradev. There's so many demigods we study about in the Vedic literatures. But there is one God who is the God of all the gods, and that is Krishna. He has other forms as well, and they are also in the same position. Lord Ram, Lord Narayan, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Vamana, Lord Matsya. These are all different manifestations of that supreme God of all the gods. He has unlimited forms also. Krishna is just the chief of them, but he has unlimited forms. Lord Vishnu. These are all expanded forms of Krishna to engage in different types of activities for different purposes. But the original form is Krishna, according to the Vedic literatures. The original form is Krishna. That's why we like to chant Krishna. Krishna's name. Because when you chant Krishna, automatically you worship every god automatically. Like watering the root, you water all the leaves and branches. When you chant Krishna, you actually honor and worship every single living entity throughout all of existence, because they're all part of Krishna. When I chant Hare Krishna, I'm honoring you also. I'm giving my love and my worship and respect to you also when I chant Hare Krishna. Because you're also a god on a certain level, a god of your body. So every time I chant Hare Krishna, I'm actually honoring and worshiping and honoring you see. Because you're part of the Supreme. You're not left out. Every time I chant Hare Krishna, that love is going to you also. Because you're part of Krishna. Krishna's within your heart. You're within Krishna, Krishna's within you. So by chanting Krishna, I'm giving my love to you also, automatically.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So in that regard, could you also explain who Krishna is to Lord Jesus? Is he God the Father?
Well, if we take the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita at face value, it's described right there. Krishna says he is the Father, Supreme Father of all, and Jesus says he's the Son. So not according to our opinion or somebody's guess, but according to what the scriptures themselves say, Jesus is the Son of God and Krishna is God the Father. So there's no contradiction, actually. Christ consciousness and Krishna consciousness are the same consciousness, pure love of God. In fact, it was Christ. I was seeking pure Christ consciousness, and that's how I became the Krishna consciousness. I read in the Bible, Lord Jesus says, Father, not my will, but thy will be done. This was my spiritual search. I finally concluded that Jesus was a purely enlightened soul, and if I was to become also a purely enlightened soul, which I desired more, was my one desire, how would I achieve it? So I was studying the Bible, seeing what was it that made Jesus the enlightened soul that he was, or that he is. He's not dead, of course. And one day I found the verse and I realized this tells it exactly. Father, not my will, but thy will be done. So that's spiritual perfection, when you totally surrender yourself to do what the Supreme wants you to do. So Christ is teaching the same principle that's taught in the Bhagavad Gita. Just when the Bhagavad Gita says surrender to the Lord. It's just a different perspective. Krishna says surrender to me, and Christ says, please bless me that I can surrender to you. Not my will, but thy will. So the Gita and the Bible are teaching the same things from two different angles of vision. That's all. From the perspective of God the Father, and from the perspective of God the Son. The same exact philosophy, just from two angles of vision. This is proper spiritual understanding. People want to fight in the name of religion. I mean, it's the most absurd thing in the world. They want to kill and fight and do violence, and that's not religion. That's sacrilege. You see, true religion means that which brings us all together in pure loving relationship. That's true religion. That's real religion. It brings the whole world together in pure loving relationship. That is true religion. There's a very good word I learned from one of our members, Mr. I forget his name. They have bastardized religion. It's a very powerful word, bastardized. They have bastardized it. They're turning it into some political thing. We want political power for our group, so with the name of this dog, they've completely spoiled it. So we need, Bhagavad Gita now is bringing back true understanding what religion is to the world. That's why we want to distribute these. I hope we have some table with Gitas. We encourage everyone to get a Gita tonight. Or we used to say, gotta get a Gita. Gotta get a Gita. That's like a TV ad, you know. Gotta get a Gita. So everyone's got to get a Gita. And I guarantee you, just having this book in your home itself will do miracles. We have these books in our home, and the fire didn't even touch them. And we even heard a report from one man who'd gotten these books in the airport. And he came back to the devotees, he said, my whole house burned down. Everything was destroyed, but those books weren't touched. These books have definitely mystic power. And if you just take the book and keep it in your home, even if you don't read it, and you just touch it, your kindness will go. But if you read it, you'll go up even faster. Just having the book in your home will transform your life. And that's how powerful it is, even if you don't read it. But if you read it, it'll be 100 times more benefit. So I encourage everyone, take a Gita. Gotta get a Gita. Gotta get a Gita.
Should
Okay,
they
anything
leave
else?
a donation? Should they leave a donation for
Huh?
it? Should they leave a donation for the
Oh no, you have to
Bhagavad Gita?
pay something. That's part of the loving exchange. You can't just take it. That's one-sided. It has to be reciprocal. You see, because we have to pay the printer, so you got to help us pay the printer. I'm not in charge of you're in charge of the book sales.
I am.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah, talk to her about what you should suggest a donation. She's in charge of it. Mahasundari Madhavi Devi, that's it. Our host who's arranged this program. We thank you very much for arranging this program. You can talk to her about the suggested donation. That'll help us cover the printing costs. Okay, so we'll stop here, and we thank you all very, very much for coming tonight. And I have a garland to give away. Who would like to have a nice garland? This is better than arriving in Hawaii, by the way. Coming to Hare Krishna program. All right, you held your hand up first. You're the winner. Here, stick your head over here. There you go.
Thank you. Oh, it's heavy.